back in my natural habitat, back in the wash bay. I'm gonna wash the GT3 RS. I feel like we haven't gotten as much from the RS, especially in videos here lately, as this thing deserves. I need to do more. I want to do more. I want to drive it more. I want to do more projects on it. Unfortunately, there aren't really any projects to do. I've finally got the height set, at least I think. I've said this several times. The height is set the way that I want. I'm going to do another alignment because I'm getting ready for the mountain trip. So naturally, if I'm going to take it to get aligned, I got to wash it. And it'll probably rain Friday morning when I take it up. Today is Wednesday. So what we're going to do is going to wash the car. I'm going to give you a PPF update. We'll also talk a little bit about the windshield protection here, the Exo Shield. So I'll give you an update on all of that stuff and update on the RS in general. But this sucker isn't going anywhere. I don't think I'm going to get a .2 RS. I mean, unless I get a call. I'm happy with this one. This I would probably have to sell for 30,000 bucks less now. The values of these have come down quite a bit. So I don't think it's viable to sell it. It's exactly what I want. You know, the .2 is a slight improvement, but I don't think it's worth a $60,000, $70,000 swing. So hey, let's get washing. What's up, buddy? This orange cat is super cool. He's been patrolling this area, keeping all the rodents out, right, buddy? He's not allowed in the house. He doesn't try to run in. He just hangs out and patrols the area and meows at us like crazy. We still haven't given him a name. So just call him Orangey. Right, buddy? All right, go do your thing. All right, so let's get washing. I don't have an update on you from the new gun, the new wand. Again, we're probably into next year, later this year, next year. I don't have anything on the Exo Shield, so maybe we'll treat that while we're at it here today as well, just for the trip. Right now we have, I have Kamikaze Miyabi topped with ISM, topped with Beadmaker, which I think is a great combo. The car's been, I know it always looks clean on camera, I know, I get it. I've driven in the rain probably a dozen times. I haven't washed it in a month. But man, this is the main reason why I got rid of my S2000. I mean, this thing is just amazing. Something to mention, since hopefully most of you watch the videos that buy the stuff. Keep in mind, there's an O-ring inside of here. There's a little black piece of rubber, little rubber O-ring. So if you ever put either your foam cannon or your wand on and it's shooting water like crazy, that means you lost your O-ring. And naturally, some people email me and say, "Oh my gosh, I've had this thing for 3 months and now it's broken." And the thing to keep in mind with these cheap, unfortunately, they just aren't great, really fancy, expensive. And even if they were, the O-ring could still fail, even if the tolerances were tighter than these inexpensive quick disconnects. And I'm not just making excuses. I have a bunch of fancy ones too. The problem with the fancy ones is, they can be as much as 50 bucks for this $6 part, and I've found that these work pretty much just as well. But the Mosmatic ones that I'll be bringing out here soon have a smoother click and connection, and I don't have a lot of long-term testing with them, but my guess is you'll still have the same thing with O-rings. So from here on out, we're sending an extra O-ring for both the 3/8 inch coupler and the 1/4 inch coupler, and I'm going to add O-rings to the store, and you can have them. I think some people are just, I don't know, I don't see how you could really mess it up. You just put it in there and you click it in place. So I don't think there's a user error at all in these. I don't think there's really anything you could do to mess it up. So anyway, O-rings it's been For whatever reason, this last batch of quick disconnects, I've had dozens and dozens of people have an issue, which is the first time. You know, I've sold tens of thousands of these. It seems like we have supply issues or a bearing issue, or I guess that comes with doing large quantities. You figure out the failure points of everything. This is Atom soap, as usual. I'm not going to do the wheels like so roughly every fourth wash, I just do a quick cleaning, surface cleaning of the wheels. Because they're carbon ceramics. Now, if they weren't carbon ceramics, I would never do that. Going back to, I think I like 60 frames a second better, even though it requires more computing power and storage space. I don't know, it feels more live to me. Since my videos are a bit raw without lots of cinematography and B-roll and things like that, I don't know, I just think that 60 frames, maybe you can comment below and let me know what you think, but I think 60p or 60 frames per second makes more sense for this, for my style. Oops, I forgot to put the Home Cannon soap in there. I'm telling you, this freaking bucket filler is amazing. I keep calling the company. I found the company that has this darn thing, and I keep calling them and calling them, and no one calls me back. This is the way it goes. I want to get this fire hose nozzle, because this is the one. And the company's called Dixon Valve, but I can't get them to call me back. That's the story of my life. And I'm not beating their doors in. I call them a couple of times, and I move on to the next thing. So PPF. If you're not familiar, if this is the first video you're watching, then your first comment is, why is this video so long, I'm sure. But anyway, that's just my style. But this car has Suntech Ultra, which we did up at Esoteric in Columbus, Ohio. It also has Exo Shield. This is Alchemy Exo Shield on the windshield. So I've been rather vocal, like, not against, but that I preferred not to have PPF because of the look, feel, and it's just, I think it takes a little bit away from the pop you get, the depth and clarity you get in the paint, adds an extra layer of orange peel, and so there's a common, I think, misconception in the world that PPF is the magic end-all be-all that solves all the world's problems, which they're just like anything, just like not having PPF, there are pros and cons to that. And having pros and cons is part of the game. So we put the PPF on, the car had 700 miles on it. We have just over 3,000 now. I have just over 3,000 now. And the results have been good. I've probably washed it. I haven't washed it as much, so maybe that's a plus. Maybe that's part of the reason why. The other reason why I haven't washed it as much is, Obsessed Garage has really grown quite a bit. And for the longest time, the vast majority of the ownership of this car, I've had 2 jobs, which now I don't. So, the PPF is, and that in combination with the car being coated, I would like to think that has aided a bit in needing less maintenance. I've also driven the car probably a little less than I would normally. I skipped the spring GT3 trip as I was making the transition to Obsessed Garage full time. It's pretty stressful. So I put quite a few less miles on it in the spring than I normally would put, 400, 500, 600 miles on it. And so this PPF update, I haven't taken it through anything grueling yet. It's just been local driving, local around here. Maybe a couple of back road jaunts. Even then, I haven't done a lot of that in this car yet. So most of it's been driving to the grocery store and driving to my office and maybe taking a trip down to Orlando. I just took it down to meet with the Danger Brain guys to work on bottles for the decon wash, decon soap. But we're about to take it to the mountains in a couple of weeks, so we're gonna go beat on it a little bit and beat on the PPF and talk a little bit more about how it holds up against that. So I'll have another update. But you know, the main disadvantage of PPF in general is the look. You know, white is a very unforgiving color for PPF because you see any dirt that builds up on the edges. And credit to Dan Roth and his install at Esoteric. The edge work is pretty good, or really good. So I haven't had any major issues. I haven't noticed anything outside the ordinary. I'll show you as we're drying it. Show you some of the spots that would be problematic, or can be problematic if you're not careful. So the edges have held up pretty well. You know, these little pockets here, there's a couple of pockets here that have built up a little bit of dirt, a couple of areas in the rear of the car. So, you know, the main comment I'll have, or I give to people, or advice I give to people when they're doing PPF is, you know, they ask the question, well, what do I need to do differently? And you really don't need to do anything differently. You treat it just like you treat your paint, and it should hold up pretty well. The only additional thing you need to be cognizant of are the edges. Make sure you aren't scrubbing the edges with your pad, which, again, if you didn't have PPF on the car, you wouldn't be scrubbing it anyway, so if you were washing it properly. So we shouldn't have to worry about that. So I guess the bigger question would be, what areas would I do differently now that I have some more experience with it? You know, I've always said I preferred not to have PPF, but I haven't had a full wrapped car with the entire thing, all the painted surfaces done. So it's not that I was speaking out of turn. I wasn't speaking to it very much, other than saying, you know, again, I'd prefer not to have it. You can see it. You can tell it's on the car. No matter how good it is, you can always tell. And the PPFs have gotten better. I think the whole self-healing thing is kind of, you know, it's not as, you know, when you start to propose self-healing to people, then I think they assume that it's impenetrable and bulletproof, and clearly that's not the case. If anything, I would think, or I would discuss that you need to be more careful with it. I think in general, it can make the ownership experience a little bit more enjoyable of the car. I wouldn't wrap the whole car again, at least I don't think. I would also likely double up the area, at least especially on a 911, right next to where the rear quarter panel there, where all the stones get kicked up. Because I already have some rashing there, and I've only driven around town. Just wait till I go up to the mountains. That area is going to get destroyed, and the problem we have is that piece of clear film is like, you know, to get installed is probably $600 or $700 because it's a giant piece that spans the whole rear fender area all the way down the A pillar, the C pillar, the B pillar. It's that whole entire section if you want it to be as seamless as possible. And so that makes it more expensive, and now it's going to get destroyed, and so I'm going to have to replace that whole piece. So after the mountains, I'll probably do a couple of trips, let it get destroyed, and then get it redone. But next time when I redo it, I will just double it up there. You know, I'll do a double section. So that way I won't have to redo the whole thing. I'll just be able to pull off the second layer, and then have it reapplied instead of having to pull off the entire side of the car. I would certainly rather do the entire front section. So I wouldn't do a line, right? So don't do a line on the hood, do the whole hood. do the whole roof. I think, I just mentioned the side area, do the side area and double it up so that it makes it easier and less costly to replace it later, especially on a 911 or any other car with sort of wider hips here in the rear. I would do the wing. I'd probably skip the rear bumper. I'd skip the rear fenders. I'd skip the doors. I'd skip the door handles. I'm sort of undetermined on the headlights here. Not sure about that. We'll see longer term what how the headlights do. And it might even be better, now that I think about it, I might even be better off just to have the darn line, and then I have an inexpensive piece that I could go down and have redone. The other problem I have is that I can't send the car back to Ohio. I guess I could, but I'm not going to. That's a huge, thousands of dollars in expense just to, have the PPF fixed or adjusted or added to if I needed to. But things like doing the door handle, I'll probably end up pulling that off soon here because this is the spot that's collecting the most dirt just because of where it's at. I do the mirrors, whole roof, probably just part of the, maybe cut it off here and just deal with the line. Do this section here instead, skip the doors. I'd probably still do the front fenders and certainly the whole front bumper and front clip. And that would obviously save you a lot of expense too. Because, how many chips are you going to get on the door anyway? And if you did, it's going to be one or two. Something that I don't think will be devastating. All right, let's switch to DI water and rinse it. Let me do the wheels first. Because I have carbon ceramics, and because the wheels are coated and cared for often, a lot of times I'll do a quick wash like this with my bucket, since I've already sprayed off the wheels, or sprayed off the whole car in the rinse. So I'll take that. I'll take my lambskin mitt and just do a real quick superficial cleaning. I will add Pearl to the tires after the fact just to maintain it. And that's about the extent of the cleaning that's really necessary for this specific wash. So roughly every fourth wash is when I'll really get in and clean the wheels with wheel cleaner and all of that. So I'm gonna run around and do that real fast. I've been working hard to try to get back in shape. Not try, but actually get back in shape. So I've been doing 2-a-days. I'm done with that crap. I did it for about 3 weeks. I'm hovering right at around 220 to 225. My body is beat up, so I'm done with the whole 2-a-days. I'm just trying to win at life. This is my secret trick for a GT3, is to just saturate. You're always gonna blow water out of here, especially when we jump in the car and driving down the road. But at least if we can get most of the soap out. Doesn't spray soap all over your windshield. So notice combination of bead maker, Miyabi, ISM. It's probably hard to see on white, but you have some pretty solid sheeting, right? So this coating isn't this combination is not nearly as hydrophobic as some of the others, but notice the beads tend to collect more and then run off the car. So you have a little bit more sheetability or hydrophilic capability versus some other coatings that just bead up. Now, the disadvantage is this combination of this stuff isn't as hydrophobic, but it is, I think, less susceptible to water spots. And I've noticed that, you know, the combination of all of this stuff has been essentially water spot. I don't want to say water spot free, but I haven't had issues with water spots. But then again, I don't leave this car out sitting out in the rain where it'll rain and then sit and dry. I don't do that on this car like I do on my truck often. Bead maker. Now remember, I've already applied it to this once and I've changed my process up quite a bit. But so now I'm using it more as just a spritz on drying aid. Get a little on the towel. Make sure I don't have any junk in there. Now I just blew the car off, so there's not a lot of water on it, but this is just my opportunity to wipe off any extra stuff that I didn't get in the wash. Another logical question with PPF is, should I do, you know, the PPF is self-healing, quote, quote, self-healing, right? And what self-healing means is that there's a self-healing, there's a top coat. And that top coat, or that top layer on the PPF, can, you know, under heat, you know, basically in the sun. By the way, put this on the windows. I'm not going to put it on the windshield because I'm going to do woofs, but I will put it on the windows. This does really well, actually. Every other drying aid, I've always avoided the windows because it gets smeary. Even something like Kinetec or ECH2O, it just certainly wax. I never wanted to put the wax on the windows, but this stuff just plays so well with everything. I'm telling you, it's great. And now, even though it's 95% humidity in the summer here in Florida, it's great. Easy, 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 easy. Super hard first time, easy from here on out. Use the high pile side, the low pile side. And we have a nice combo that works. Again, I'm not putting it on the windshield because we're going to put some woofs on there here in a minute. So back to my discussion of coating. So coating and top, you know, top coat. You know, remember the top coat of all of these PPFs, Expel and S-Tech and you name it, you just choose your brand, and this SunTech, the self-healing top coat is affected by, you know, by the coating. So what do? I think you coat it. I mean, it makes the, if you're going to treat your PPF like paint, which I am, then having it coated would essentially, you know, help it bead water a little better, sheet water a little better, help make it more chemical resistant. I guess it does change the look a little bit, but I think a lot of it just depends on how discerning you are. You know, if you're doing PPF because you just don't, you know, you have a business owner or an executive, you don't have a lot of time, you're just doing it to make it easier so you can just wipe it down and not have to worry about it, then I don't know that coating it really makes sense. But if you're really going to care for it and keep up and treat it like paint, then I think you coat it. And I think obviously the coating logically would affect your self-healing capabilities. I don't know how, but I think it would probably mean that, you know, once you put it under heat, it's not going to heal anymore. But if you're washing it properly and you're caring for the coating and you're topping the coating with something like this or whatever recommended topper your coating manufacturer calls for, you know, GT3 C2V3 or ECH2O or Reload or whatever other topping product, you know, this all gets a bit ridiculous. That's why I like this so much, is we get rid of some of the ridiculousness of it. I need some sort of lubrication. I need some sort of product to dry with, and so I killed two birds with one stone doing this process this way. And then I get some more protection, or a layer of protection on the protection that's protecting the protection. I'm keeping that up. I'm just maintaining it. Because that's the big misconception with PPF and coatings and all of this stuff, is that, well, I just put it on and I don't have to deal with it. And I mean, most of you guys that are watching my stuff don't have that mentality, but that's how a lot of this stuff is sold. It's sold to the person who isn't as discerning, who just wants to make it easy on himself and make his car look good for as long as possible. Well, newsflash, a coating, in my experience, is the opposite of that. You're doing the coating for the longevity and the chemical resistance, even though the only chemical I really care about is water spotting. It tends to spot more. The misconception is that it's easier, but actually a coating is more work if you want to keep it nice. So I think of it, at least the way that, whenever I choose one, I think I can't wait to get that R8 back, because I really like the G-Technic stuff. I like this too, this Kamikaze. I can't sell the Kamikaze. I like that Dr. Beasley's nano resin. So there isn't none of these I've like changed my life. This ISM is good. The other problem with ISM is that they rarely have it. So it becomes problematic if you buy your car and you didn't plan 6 months ahead or 2 months ahead. At times it can be problematic to get your hands on. Or most of the time it is. So that's a problem for me, because the volume that I'm doing is significant. So I would need a company to partner with that can handle that volume. But my main focus is that it's a good product. Man, that's nice. It just makes it so much easier after you soak it down with Bead Maker. I got a nice base layer of it, and every time I wash it, it just maintains this amazing, the word that everybody keeps using is slickness, and I guess that's probably the best word for it. For me, it's about the look, the depth that I get from it. It just looks amazing. So I'm spraying this on very, very similarly. Notice I'm only used 2 towels here, but I spray this on the same way I would any other drying aid, or any other product I would use to add a layer while I'm drying. I've talked about this quite a bit here recently. That's been the difficulty, in that I'm now rarely sharing my long-term expertise and more sharing my short-term discoveries. And short-term discoveries have learning curves attached to them. God, I love this car. So that's part of the game. The coating on top of PPF, I think is the way to go. So then what I'll do with my towels is I'll do one of these, flip it here, and it's like I have 2 fresh towels. Fresh-ish. So again, I always wipe with the high pile first, just in case I missed anything. So this is where PPF matters. Here I have 2 edges, so I want to try to stay with the edge, not go against the edge if I can help it. And if I do that often, if I follow that procedure, then the likelihood of me lifting and then contaminating the edge with future dirt from the lifting is not eliminated, but it's alleviated. So in the care and maintenance, you just have to use, like, there's an edge here and there's an edge here, which I wish there wasn't. There probably shouldn't be. But I just have to protect those edges. And then this bead maker, you can put on all these plastic parts too, which is cool. Like the plastic black trim. The love bugs are coming back. It's mid to late September, early October, which is right when I'm going to be driving to the mountains. So good news for you. I'm gonna be vlogging my mountain trip. So you're gonna get to see me doing, and I'm driving the car. So you're gonna get to see me pulling out all the tricks, all the travel washing. The question would then be, which I'm sure many of you will have, is would I do it again? And the answer is yes. I'm working on finding an E92 M3. I'm going to sell my truck. The philosophy here, and I know people get all bent out of shape and like to tell me, I told you so. I have to navigate life myself. And I figure things out and I try things, and I am not afraid when I try something and it didn't work. Michelle made a funny comment. She said, you know, when I posted in the Facebook group about I'm thinking about getting an M3, that people thought I was asking, should I get an M3? When that's not how I do it. You know, if I've already made up my mind, then it really doesn't matter if the president came in. I'm probably not going to change it. It's part of the reason why Obsessed Garage exists. It's part of the reason why I didn't have very many friends before Obsessed Garage. But at least I'm learning how to navigate, learning what that means. So we used 2 towels, did the whole car. But M3, I won't PPF that, because I won't be doing, at least I don't think, I wouldn't be doing as many mountain trips in that. That would be my car that I drive around town most of the time. So now one of the questions I've been asking myself is, now that this is the product that I use everywhere, like I used to use Showroom Shine here. Well, I wonder if I should pull the Optimum Spray Wax out of the store. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure how to navigate that, because now I can use this product on all the different areas. I liked having Showroom Shine in the arsenal for the door jambs, because when using a silicon dioxide based, a lot of times I found that if I got that on the trim, it would leave like a white residue. Same thing with spray wax. It just doesn't do as well if you happen to hit any trim. Or this Speedmaker stuff, doesn't matter what the heck I hit. It all just works just fine. Fine on pretty much anything. And the Showroom Shine is too. So Showroom Shine is fine on the paint. I know lots of you like that product. Showroom Shine doesn't really add much for me. You know, it doesn't add anything to the surface. It adds, you know, sort of like an anti-static like feel, but it doesn't add any kind of you know, like that shine or that depth and clarity that I'm getting from the Speedmaker product. I love cleaning this part. I really need to repolish this thing. I'm gonna spray a little bit more product on here because I didn't get this very well last time. I'm telling you, these towels are best for this area, the jams. You want to hit this really well. So, and I didn't put it on here before. At least I don't think I did. So now we'll get a little bit more smearing, kind of pushing it around. Basic concept there is that you're gonna get more even coverage. You're not gonna wipe it all away with the towel. And then generally it wipes off better with a lower pile towel, but I don't feel like going in to grab one. So my original intention was to have a Raptor, and then Michelle would have whatever car she has, and then I started towing. No, here's what happened. We got Michelle's Tahoe. So the plan was, when I went to the mountains, I wanted to tow. So at the time, we would just use the Tahoe to tow my GT3 up to the mountains because I got my trailer. Well, then I found I had to give my other car to Michelle, and so then that's when I bought the truck. So I bought the Raptor so that I could tow in style up to the mountains. And then I decided I wanted to get the new Raptor, and I'd get rid of the old Raptor. Well, Michelle decided to take the old Raptor, and so I got the new Raptor so that I didn't have to give Michelle, again, one of my cars to drive. But then she decided to keep the old Raptor, and so I had two of them. But now that I'm not towing, I hate the towing experience. I hated every second of it. I hated loading the car. I hated maintaining and caring for the trailer. I hated putting the trailer somewhere. It's just the whole darn experience was just, I just didn't like any of it. You know, I'd have been better off getting an F250 or 350 or something like that, but I didn't want to do that because then I'd have to have that thing when I'm not towing, which is most of the time. So anyway, it's just like going to the track. Towing is just not for me. I finally started getting good at backing the thing up. You know, many of you guys busted my chops when I showed you how crappy I was at that. Hey, can't be good at everything, right? In my case, can't be good at anything. I just didn't like the experience, and so I sold the trailer. Trailer's gone. So now I'm sitting here with two trucks, two of the same truck, and it's not that I don't like the truck, I like it, but I don't need it. So if I don't need it, I'd rather have two cool cars. You know, going back to this whole premise that having 3 or 4 or 5 vehicles, I mean, look, I haven't washed this thing in a month. I don't like that. I don't like that pressure I put on myself. And this is just all figuring things out, personal discovery. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna sell the Raptor. Hit me up if you want it, the blue one. Not the, I asked Michelle, which one do you want? She wants the white one. She wants the Gen 1. So that's fine, it's cool, because the blue one's worth a lot more money. So then I could use that to buy an M3. So then I headed out on this huge endeavor to figure out what car I want after, you know, I really want an E92 M3. I just think that I really would enjoy driving that every day. Combination of that and this, it's always been my life's dream to have an M3 daily driver, and then, not that I really daily drive anywhere, but I've always wanted M3, GT3. That's been the life's mission. I'm in search, E92 M3, preferably Le Mans blue, six speed, no question, 6-speed only. I don't want a DCT. I would like to have manual seats. I would like to have no nav. I also want to have the premium package heated seats, all that junk. Because then you get the parking distance sensors all over the car. This is just Crio's window cleaner. So I'd like to not have any of that stuff if I have the choice. Le Mans blue is the preferred color. I'd also do white. I would do maybe Melbourne red if it was the right spec. I want black interior. I don't want any of the other colors. I'd also do an individual color like the Lime Rock edition car, yellow, orange, green, something cool like that. I'd consider Ferrari red would be awesome. Some individual color, Monte Carlo blue. So I'm in search of an E92. I was thinking about a C63, but those things sound god awful. I don't know what you guys are saying about how they sound great. It's like the worst sounding thing I've ever heard. It's weird. It sounds like it sounds like this giant engine is just breathing through a straw. I don't know. And even all these aftermarket options, I know you guys love it, but man, I couldn't handle that thing. I'm such a sound snob. You know, it doesn't need to sound like an American V8. It just needs to not sound like crap. So, good news. This will be here. Maybe not next week. I'm probably gonna open up the pre-order this week. But I spent a small fortune to bring this into the country. This is just like Bead Maker. It's not like a change your life product. It's just good. It just works. Works better than anything else. Water won't shoot off your windshield, but the key, and it doesn't last forever, like some of these other coatings are, you know, last a long time. But it just, I don't know, it's just a better experience. It goes on easily, it comes off easily. The only thing you might notice is you may have to do, it's kind of like Colonite where it'll fog up a little bit the first time. You just have to make sure you really buff it off. Since we're on the windshield here, let's talk about Exo Shield. So the product, the clarity is great, right? So when you're looking through it, it's good. I'm going to show you a close-up here on the camera. The problem with Exo Shield, this is one of the potentials, is that it's in comparison to window tint, it's very, very, very thick, right? You want it to be thick so that someone shoots you with a shotgun, you know, your windshield doesn't crack, right? Or if you get hit with a rock, it doesn't penetrate or doesn't crack the windshield. But the problem with the thickness is that it takes a long time for the adhesive to dry, to cure. So it takes weeks for that to happen. The other problem with it is that you can't see the dust and dirt on application. And so what happened with mine, and I just have to get over there and have them do it. I mean, the guys did an amazing install, did a great job. But the thing you can run into, and this is why you don't want to do it the way I did it, which is I rushed them and said, look, let's do it, and I'll just take my car home and we'll be good to go. A couple of my edges lifted, so I never gave them the opportunity to finish the job. And so a couple of the edges are a little lifty because you have to monitor it. And so generally what they recommend is that you leave the thing there for several days. After it's done, you know, then you come pick it up. And even then it still takes a good 20 or 30 days for the thing to cure. So that's the disadvantage. Advantage is the clarity is really good. It works well with windshield wipers. I haven't noticed any issues there. But I've got, for whatever reason, when we walked across the room, I've got a zillion little dust particles, and I have left it on because I'm going to go to the mountains, and after I go to the mountains, I'm going to pull it off and put the new stuff on. I do think, you know, for $300-400, depending on the cost where you're at, I think it's viable. I think it's worth the cost. It's actually pretty hydrophobic, so I don't even know that I needed woofs, but figure it can't hurt to throw this on real quickly. So anyway, I think it's a viable product. I think it's something that if you're susceptible to rock chips, if you live up north or something like that, and you're getting pelted by rocks all the time, or you're cracking windshields, that you probably should consider it. Especially if you have an expensive windshield or a windshield that's hard to get, you may want to have it on there. But if they get it right, if you get it right, I think it's really good. So I would recommend it. You're going to have to work at it. You're going to have to find somebody that's really good at installing it. Otherwise, you won't be happy because it can get dust and dirt under it. And leave it there. Let them make sure that that everything worked out all right. And we've actually tweaked some of the way it's installed. For now, I think from here on out, I think Tint World, I don't think they carry it across the room anymore. They back roll it, they roll it on the windshield. So that's a better way to do it, because we have a zillion little dust particles, which again, when we did the install, you just can't see it. They couldn't see that stuff because it has to cure. And then if we had window tint, it wouldn't even matter because that stuff isn't as thick, right? So this stuff is so thick that the tiniest little dust particle makes a little dust mark. So anyway, that's the Exo Shield. And then Exo Shield, just like PPF, we treat it like we would paint. Just treat it the same as what you do anything. So that's the update on that. Let's wipe this off. Actually, I'm going to let that cure. We're going to do the tires, do the wheels here real quickly, and then I'll get you in close and show you a few of the little minor problem areas, little areas that you'd have to take extra care, and then maybe we'll go for a drive. All right, let's do the wheels and tires here really fast. So I'm putting the darn bean maker on the wheels too while we're at it. So this process is pretty simple. Got Pearl 1-to-1, wheel, so I just kind of spritz it on there. Do the higher pile side of the tire. Or the towel. And we're just gonna go and do one of these. And it'll just essentially keep a top coat of polymer sealant on top of my wheel coating. I don't know about the stance though. Stance, it's probably partly to do with the matte, like the satin finish of these wheels, but it seems to be failing a bit in the cracks and the corners. It's okay. It's not, you know, it seems to be doing okay. All right, let's do this. Put this on the tires. And then what we'll do, take our sponge and level it out. I'm digging my new, we'll call it the Gary Olson method for pearl application. And then I'll come back and dry that off. All right, I got a little sidetracked there, so let's wrap this up. And let me show you a couple of things here on camera. So here's what I'm talking about. You know, I have an edge that lifted, and then you see all this patina here. Those are little dust particles that happen at a couple of places on the Exo Shield. But in general, if you get it right, the clarity is really, really great. So you won't notice it when you're looking through the window. So I have the windshield tinted inside and out, right? So I do think Exo Shield is viable as long as you can get it without the dust, which I'll redo it and keep everybody updated. So again, the PPF has been holding up really well. So here's one, you know, problem area, getting a little bit of dirt buildup. The other common spot is going to be here. You know, you can see a little bit of dirt, but you know, in general, I'm really, really pleased with how this has held up. Here is you can't really hear it. I can feel it, but there's a little bit of patina that's developing there. I actually have some magnetic stone guards that I'll put on for the mountain trip. The front bumper's been really good, so it's held up really well. All the edges, there are most edges on the front bumper because of all the contours. I do have a little spot where I hit a rock or something that I could probably fix with a polisher. I don't feel any, you know, there isn't a divot there, so I should probably grab the Nano and just hit that real quickly. But again, in general, the car looks really good. The other areas that become problematic after a while are right here. You can see the dirt start to build up. And then I have one spot in the rear. So the doors are good. Oh, this is where I'll probably pull this off really soon. I'm pretty careful about dealing with my door handles anyway, so that section will come off. And then this was another little spot. So the fact that I'm showing you the 3 or 4 or 5 spots on the car is a pretty good testament to how Dan did on the install. Install was good. So I don't have time to go drive it here today, but car looks great. Everything's set up. So that's a quick update on PPF, Exo Shield. We're going to take it to the mountains and hopefully not damage it too badly. But the beauty of PPF, the whole concept here is that I can take it, beat the car up, pull it off if I needed to. It's an expensive pulling off, but I could pull off the film and do it differently. Headlights seem to be okay. I don't notice any distortions. Hopefully we don't have any delamination if I did need to pull it off. So I'll report back more there. Anyway, RS looks awesome. I'm going to get you some driving footage here. Next week, I'm going to do a big, long series of vlogging from the mountain trip in October. And then I've got a bunch of really cool products coming out here. Wolf's will be out here soon, so stay tuned for that. I've got the Cox hose reel stuff, so I'm going to have, forgive me, I'm going to have some product videos on the channel that is going up in the store and it'll be available. But I think it's cool stuff. You'll see me start smiling and getting really excited when I start talking about that stuff. So anyway, thanks for watching. As always, stay tuned for more crazy. What happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor.